From breakthrough strategies to game-changing innovations and cultural shifts, you'll discover the lessons that drive real impact, and we'll dive into the moments that changed everything. Welcome to The Missing Piece with April Reed.
All right. Well, today we are discussing the nuanced world of the operations of senior care advising. Our guest, Mark Molnar, has a unique perspective, having spent 6 years as a successful franchisee before becoming the president and chief operating officer of the franchisor Senior Care Authority. With his background in C-suite roles, finance, and leading technology transformations, he is perfectly positioned to discuss how operational excellence and training drive compassionate care across a national network. Welcome, Mark, to the show. We're so happy to have you.
Thanks so much, April. Excited to be here.
I'm really excited to dig into you owning a franchise, to now becoming the president of 100 of the franchise Senior Care Authority. But take us back to what motivated you to move into senior care. Tell us about who is Mark. Obviously, where did you come from and where you are today? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, great. Absolutely. So I've got a varied past. I was not always in the senior care space. In fact, I hadn't been until I got into the franchise space in 2019. I had nothing to do with the senior care industry. I worked in investment banking for about 15 years. I owned an education company. I was the chief financial officer of a company here in Northeast Ohio for about 5 years. So nothing senior care, right? But what I did have was a mom and a dad, like most folks, and we had issues in the senior living space with my dad about a decade ago that we had to deal with on a personal basis. And it was not something that I was prepared for, nor are most people. It's not something that you do every day. It was a tough time for our family when my dad had fallen and he broke his hip, and we had to kind of go through, the process of, what is a nursing home? What is an assisted living? How do these things work? How do you pay for them? All that kind of stuff. It's not easy. Generally speaking, there's not a lot of people out there helping you, or at least not that I was aware of. So that was about 10 years ago. So you fast forward from that time frame into the 2019 time frame. I had an opportunity to start a business, and I was looking at opportunities to get into business ownership again. And I came across Senior Care Authority, and it just really hit home because on a personal basis, I saw the need for it. My wife is actually a business partner of mine. She's an occupational therapist, and she worked in the industry as a healthcare provider for a number of years, working in folks' homes. And she saw the need for helping and advising people through this process. And on a personal basis, I certainly saw it. And then, certainly we started to talk to Frank Sampson, who's the founder of this company. He had gone through this on a personal basis well more than a decade ago when he started it. So much like I think many businesses start, you see an opportunity, you see things aren't being done well, and you see that missing link, so to speak, that is out there. And there are so many of those in the world, I think, that you see in your personal life or as part of your business, and you see, how do I solve that? How can I make this easier on people? And then you figure out how to make a business out of it, and how to make that happen. So again, from perspective of having run a successful franchise here in Northeast Ohio, I think it's given me great insight into helping other franchisees across the country, because I've been on the ground level. I've done the ground level work, sitting around with families, sitting around the table, discussing options with families. We've gotten pretty good at it here. And now we're doing more of that stuff around the country. So that's kind of the background. I hope that lays the ground level.
It's incredible. I mean, like you said, you came from investment banking, so you did have that finance experience and exposure in your own company, so already kind of had your sleeves rolled up. And then, but at the same time, you didn't know that you were going to run into this situation with your father.
That's right.
And then interesting that it's almost like an accumulation of your background builds for like your future, and who knew?
100%.
And it's like seeing that steps along the way. I know we have listeners that are younger and inspiring, and they look to Mark and they're like, wow, how did he, get to that? And it's like, just trust the process and
Yeah.
know maybe what you're doing in investment banking back then, or even owning a business may not be your future.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell me more.
Learning everything you can about the business that you're in right now is going to help you in the future, no matter what it might be. And like I said, I've been in education, I've been in investment banking, I've been in corporate purchasing. But every step along the way, you're building skills that can help you to that next level. Maybe it's not the same industry, but you've got to
Yeah.
develop those skills and knowledge to, to be able to take it to whenever those opportunities do present themselves, you'll be prepared to make it happen.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit more about the learning and the training aspects of your business specifically. So your father, you needed to have these hard conversations and start learning yourself. You found Senior Care Authority. Tell me more about Senior Care Authority and why it was not only right for you and your family, and how they helped you through making decisions, but then why you became a franchise owner. And of course, now, however, like, just give me all of it, like the down and dirty. People that are listening, like, I know for me, I'm all ears because my grandmother is 105. We're looking at options for her. My parents are coming up to their 80s, and we've never had these conversations. Like,
Yeah.
we know nothing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You would think
And that's
we know
most of our
nothing.
clients. Yeah, most of our clients are like that. And so just so it's clear, I did not use Senior Care Authority when I went through this with my dad about a decade ago. I did it myself, and
Wish
I
you
probably
did.
didn't. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wish I did. So when this opportunity came up, it really hit home, because I did what most people do, which is and usually if you are wise and you are planning, it's great, and that's fantastic. A lot of times people know it's coming and they avoid it. They avoid the conversations, or it's just difficult and it's easier to put off. And then they find themselves in an emergency situation, which is what we were, with my dad. And then you're scrambling to try and figure this stuff out. You're much better if you're talking to someone like me, or doing the research on your own, at least on your thoughts of how to handle this and plan for the future. But what we do, here at Senior Care Authority, is our local advisors are in communities every day. So when I say communities, I'm talking about assisted living communities, memory care units, independent living communities, we're in nursing homes. So we get to know the offerings at a very local level. We know who the directors of nursing are. We know who the folks are that would be caring for your parents. We know the price points of the assisted living communities and memory care units in our markets. They're all different, and it can be very confusing and complex. We know where they're located. We know all that stuff. And then we get to know you on a very personal basis and can really help shepherd you through what the right choices may be. And you may not need assisted living. Maybe you really are trying to stay home, and we can help connect with home care companies or elder law attorneys or Medicaid specialists. So we're kind of like that quarterback in your quarter that helps you make decisions. We provide a lot of insight, knowledge at the local level, which again is key, because every markets are different. Every market's different. Every community is different, and you really have to have boots on the ground to be able to successfully help people in your local markets.
It's incredible. So you guys, I love that quarterback. I was thinking this whole time, I'm like, oh, you're the subject matter experts for
Yeah,
your space.
there you
And
go.
to be honest, if I were to ask myself, who are the subject matter experts in the senior living space, a nursing home? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there
Mm.
isn't one. So no
Yeah.
wonder why you guys are growing so quickly and
Yep.
there's so much opportunity.
Yep.
So, in regards to opportunity, I know that right now, what's happening on economically or trending or for entrepreneurs is senior care
Mhm.
because of the timing. Everybody talks about the baby
That's right.
boomer generation is arising right here. Tell me about, like, your forecast on, the senior living,
Mhm.
not
Yep.
only today, 2025, but almost 2020, where it's going. Because
Yep.
I think there's so much to learn and to know and opportunity here, as you can imagine.
Yeah, and there really is. And so the exciting thing about our industry and our business is that we're still in the very early stages of growth here.
Yeah.
So if you think about, and we've all heard, you can show the charts, folks turning 65, 10,000 folks turning 65 every day, since 2000, whatever, 2010, whatever that might be. Those folks aren't necessarily right in our wheelhouse. Sometimes they are, but more often than not, it's folks, kind of 75, 80 plus that are looking for assisted livings or senior living of some type. So if you think about the wave that was kind of starting to crash at that 65, that was probably 10, 15, 20 years ago. Those folks are now just starting to hit our shores. So the big wave is really kind of just hitting our shores in terms of the demand for the services, that are provided through senior living. And that's just going to continue to grow. Again, we've all seen, those charts. And as you can imagine, the number of people that are turning 80 are now the people who were turning 65, that number of years ago. So that side of the business, the demand side of the business is absolutely there. And it's really a lot of times the clients that we're working with aren't necessarily those folks. More often than not, it's their children who are trying to help them through that process and help them make the right decision. So most of the time, the clients we're working with are more in their 40s, even 60s, that are trying to help their parents or older loved ones. And that's just a growing market that it's going to continue to grow for as long as I'm in this business.
It is, exactly. I mean, it's a huge, huge opportunity from a business perspective. So I own a business, but let's pretend I've never owned a business, let alone a franchise, but I see the opportunity. Mark, how are you training? How are you getting to all 100 sites
Yeah.
that you already manage effectively? But let's say you get 100 applications today of people that want to come and join this movement and join the mission because it hits home. It is emotional, it is personal, and they want to give. How are you staying on top of it all? How are you empowering and getting.
Yeah, so we have an extensive training program that the folks go through before they're going to be able to launch their business. So there's certifications that we require. So our industry, as I said, is still in the early stages. It's pretty decentralized. There's a lot of really small players out there. We're one of the national networks, which I think is really critical. National brands that does provide this type of requirements and training. So when you join our franchise, the first thing you've got to do is you have to go out and pass the CSA, which is a Certified Senior Advisor. That is a fairly intense training. So it walks you through the steps of working with seniors, understanding communities, how to work with families, communities to match kind of the businesses that we do as a company. But it's much more industry wide. And it gives a very good broad perspective of how this industry works and how to work with families. We also require folks to get their CDP, which is Certified Dementia Practitioner. And that is critical in this industry because a very large and rapidly growing part of the senior community does have dementia issues. So being able to understand those and work with those families is really critical. So that's also a requirement before we even get started. Next up is our own SCA training. So we have intense training. It goes on for, literally probably a year if you include all the mentoring and the follow-ups, but really intense for the first 2 to 3 months. We will come out and visit your community, or not your community, but we'll come out and visit your marketplace, which includes visits with communities. We'll spend 3 days in your market. It's one of our senior managers that will be out spending 3 days with you, walking you through all that. There's online coaching, there's video coaching, there's a lot of interaction with other franchisees as well. So someone who comes into our system, they get the certification. They've got to pass those tests just to get the baseline. And then they go through intense training to really go through the process the way that we want them to have a good understanding of how to deal with families the way that we want them to, and to work within our system and our processes. The training is really critical. It's critical from both a mission and a serving the clients well, but it's also critical from that branding perspective because we can't have franchisees that aren't doing things the right way and doing things the way that we need them to do it. Now, that said, the other side of the business, which I love the way that our model is set up, is the fact that we are a franchise. There are nuances in local markets that are going to cause processes to be a little different, and they're going to cause options to be a little bit different. And so it's really important that our training is strict enough that they're adhering to the benchmarks and the processes that we require, but loose enough that allows them some leeway to learn, and our processes help them learn their local markets to be able to serve their clients locally. So hopefully that gives you a good sense.
That's awesome. It's incredible. And I mean, I'm a huge proponent of, continuing education, but also I love that you're saying, hey, here's your certifications that you need that
Mhm.
carries you, it cares for the patients, it empowers your organization. It's incredible. So, all right, here's a tough question for you. The
Okay.
challenges, the everything's going perfect and we have it all figured out until we don't.
Yeah.
So we don't. What do you see are some of like your current challenges or pain points or things that problems you're trying to solve, not
Yeah.
only, for the families, but also, the from a business side. So
Yeah.
is there anything that jumps out to you that you're like, okay, we don't have it all figured out, but almost.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get the a couple of the challenges. There's, I would say, two challenges. You know, the first I think is our uh, our ability to market and to get people to know who we are and what we do. So we have a very unique service, and it is tremendously valuable to families. But explaining what we do is really is complex, right? We're having this conversation now, and hopefully you've got a good sense for what we do. But it's not
Yeah.
easy to market that. I can't put the Senior Care Authority logo up on a billboard and then just have people call. This isn't like a McDonald's franchise where you know what the golden arches are. You buy a McDonald's franchise and people start driving through the drive-through. At Senior Care Authority, most people don't know not just what Senior Care Authority is; they don't even know what our industry is. They don't even know
Yeah.
that this is an available service. One of our biggest challenges is just the sales and marketing and market awareness of the industry, let alone our company. So that's probably the biggest challenge, and that's getting solved because the more we do and the bigger the industry gets, the more people know about us. It's still little known, but it's a lot better known than it was in 2019 when I first joined the company. The other challenges certainly are on the caregiving side. So it's not something that we deal with as directly, but we talked about earlier the growth of that senior population, and certainly the senior living providers that we partner with, they're growing rapidly. They're building new buildings, when they see those opportunities. But the challenge in the industry really is the caregiving side, because you still need to be able to have good folks who are going to be able to take care of at a very personal level people who move into these communities. So that's the biggest challenge the industry faces. We don't deal with it as directly, but we absolutely deal with it indirectly. And that's part of what we do is evaluating senior living communities that we work with, evaluating their ability to provide that care and to maintain the right staffing levels and things like that. So those are a couple of the big challenges that I would say the industry and then us specifically face.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I think I love that you said, if like people don't even know. And then it's like you're like want to like shake them and be like, oh my gosh, do you not know that this resource is out there until somebody tells you? And so I love, that you're doing this and that we can even help market you and get that out
Yeah.
there because it was personal for me. I was
Mm-hmm.
sharing with you, my grandmother is
Yeah.
she's 104, she's 105 in March. My parents haven't known what to do. As my parents are aging, me and my sisters are now talking, we don't know what to do.
Right.
And so to your point, I mean, if I'm a classic candidate and
Yeah.
then guess what? All of my other friends,
Mhm. Yeah.
don't know what to do,
Right.
and there is this, and now there's answers and you
Hmm.
guys are the answer and you can come and alongside and partner and team
Yep.
and be that quarterback for these families
Yep.
that are really struggling.
And that's
It's
it. Most people don't know where to start. They don't know where to start, and we're happy to be that starting point. We're not always the ending point. A lot of times we'll have a very meaningful, long conversation with a family, and say, you know what, it doesn't sound like you really need our services, but as that quarterback, we can direct you in the right direction once we figure out what your needs are. And you might not need us today. Maybe you need somebody else today, and then you're going to come back to us in a year or two when the timing is right. So it's that opening conversation that's the hard thing, because most people just it's not the hard thing for us. It's the hard thing for our clients, because they don't know what they are even asking. They don't even know what we know that they don't even know what they're asking for. But that's where we come in, because we can help figure out what it is you should be asking for. So it's with the training and the experiences that we've got within our team, we've seen a lot of stuff, and so we're able to meet with families and really help provide a lot of direction, even if it's not our direct services.
And then the only thing that a family wants is to know that their loved ones are going to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, they just want to know that their loved ones are going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
So I can't help but ask the question that I always ask around artificial intelligence, AI, where AI is today, all of the sudden, with all the technology, the ChatGPTs owning a business, and just the infiltration of AI as a whole. Everyone has different and various opinions.
Yeah.
Where do you see AI having an impact or playing a role in what you do for the future?
Yeah. So as I hope most businesses are, we're already using AI extensively on a daily basis. I use it to write emails, right? We create a lot of content, and we enhance it with AI. It's not writing it for us, but it's absolutely enhancing us. If you've ever written an email and we use Gmail and it suggests I didn't really word that well, I probably should have reworded it. Simple stuff like that. Again, creating content, creating presentations that we're making. AI doesn't do it for us, but it absolutely enhances, what we do. So yeah, and so from a we use it for things like, analyzing, investments that we should make. It's amazing. It is incredible what you can do with it. We use it to help, when we're working with families, we can help evaluate the data that we have on the communities that we may, may work with. But it really is all about enhancing what we do. It's not something, at least in our industry, there may be places where it's going to take the place of certain folks. But I think it's much more for us. It's all about enhancing what we do and letting us be more efficient. It's kind of like, any kind of technology, except it's moving that much faster. But at the end of the day, our business is all about relationships, people relationships. And I don't see, at least not in my lifetime, I don't see AI Mark sitting down with you and your family and discussing options for senior living. And I don't see, AI nurse or caregiver walking in, and there's certain things they can do, but they're not going to take the place of a real person having a real impact and taking care of real people. At least I hope that's not the case. That wouldn't be a world I necessarily want to live in. And I don't see that happening for in this industry, like I said, for as long as I'm going to be in it. So enhancements, absolutely, in a huge way. It will transform things. But it's not going to take our place.
Yeah, I agree. And I think people, when they talk negatively of that, they're almost afraid of that. And it's no, from a data analytics perspective, like you said, you can be able to advise wiser and stronger and with more fact content, just like in the medical space. They're able to run, scenarios or med allergy complications so fast. They're able to catch diagnosis faster. They're able, to treatment. And so when it adds layer of enhancement, I think you said it perfectly, that's when it gets exciting. So
it's also AI is also wildly dependent on the inputs, right? And so when we're talking about who is going to be taking care of your family member, your loved one, the inputs are not captured on a spreadsheet as to who that person is. Are they kind? Are they diligent? Are they timely? That kind of stuff is not going to be captured on a spreadsheet and analyzed in a data set. Some things will be. Price points. That might be captured in a data set. Types of services that might be captured in a data set, but you're never going to capture in a data set the person that is taking care of you. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I love that. And that's where you guys come in. And that's why that hand holding custom approach, is everything. That's incredible. If you had, unlimited resource, vision for the future, could build out senior care authority to be in every city, let's be honest, or wherever that is, if you had unlimited resources, tell me what that vision would be. What does that look like to you?
I mean, I hate to coming back to a lot of the same stuff we've talked to, but I think it's really is the key is if we had unlimited resources, we would do a lot more marketing to get more franchises out there, but also to market and make sure that the communities that we're already in and or the newer markets that we should be in are aware of what we do. For us, it's all about awareness. There's a lot of people, both nationally and in our current markets, that really, really could use and need our services, and they don't know about it. So if I had unlimited resources, it would be more about that. Certainly, there's going to be, you would need more resources for training and all the stuff that fills in behind that. But our biggest challenge is that market awareness.
I love it. So me and my kids are, our family, we always say BB, which means big brain. So when, we're talking about if they make a big brain decision, and I'm like, oh, look at you using that big brain of yours. I want to talk about Mark right now, just not Senior Care Authority, but Mark and his big brain as not only the president, but the chief operating officer. Operations is details, process, improvement, efficiency to other COOs that you'd be speaking to, as well as people that do walk in that operational excellence or want to. What's Mark's advice? Tell me, how do you be the best operator? Like, what are your secrets there? What's your big brain? How do you know how to do this? How did you figure out operations to be so good at it?
Yeah. So it's interesting because being in a franchise model is kind of unique because it's different than, and hadn't been in franchise model until I got into it as a franchisee and now as a franchisor. So I was always more in kind of corporate type roles, and operationally in the corporate roles is a lot different than operationally in a franchise role. I will tell you, in the corporate roles, kind of the higher you are in the organization and the decisions you're making, those are kind of going to go. Operationally, we're going to do it this way, and there'll be some debates and we'll kind of figure it out. But at the end of the day, this is the way we're going to go, and right or wrong. And in franchising, it's a little bit different. So I've kind of had to nuance my skill sets around the operational ideas that I might have in my big brain, so to speak, because it's not just all about what I think. It's really more with the franchise network. It's more about being able to show and sell to franchisees the value of the processes that you're bringing into their businesses, because at the end of the day, franchisees own their own businesses. So, whenever we introduce a new technology or we introduce a new way of doing things, it's not so much about telling them this is the way you're going to do it. There's a little bit of that, but it's a lot more about, hey, this is the way we're going to do it, and this is the way it's going to help you if you do it this way. So, from an operational standpoint, it's a lot more about selling the operation than it is just demanding that things happen. Technology, marketing, all of that stuff gets wrapped up into the operational side. The training, all that stuff is operationally. How do you process consistently those types of things?
Yeah, I love it. Have you ever read the book Traction? It's about the entrepreneur operating system.
I have not. No.
So basically, there's the visionary and the operator, which is essentially you, and then there's always this integrator, and the integrator too helps take operationally and infuse in execution. So I was just thinking as you were talking, I'm like, I love that a franchise it's like you're setting up a foolproof system.
Yeah.
Because you built it to the business, are basically saying, okay, here's a blueprint that works, and we will give you the processes of how to be successful. Yeah. So it's really exciting. I'm excited for your business.
And it's all about team too. I mean, like I may be the COO, but it's the team underneath me that really is making this stuff happen from a training perspective, from a technology perspective, from a marketing perspective. We have got a great team. And we've been building that team. And so just like with any business, people always say that, but it's just so true. It's all about people.
Yeah.
It's getting the right people in the right positions with the right motivations and, and making it happen.
Yeah.
And so we're fortunate to have that within Senior Care Authority.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it sounds like you've built an incredible network to, that everybody gets to lock arms and learn from each other and continue to strengthen their business and to strengthen community relationships. And I am so thankful because I know for me, like I now have a resource and have a place, that I can go to and share with everybody else. So I really do hope that everybody feels that way and that the next thing you know, this is the norm because
Absolutely.
You guys are awesome.
And I think it will be. Because it just makes so much sense. And certainly within our organization, we're doing the right stuff. And it's just a matter of time before we get there.
I love it. I'm so excited for you. Do you have any closing thoughts or anything else you would like to share to leave with our audience and readers and viewers, etc.?
I think we've covered a lot. I would just say, from an entrepreneur standpoint, kind of stepping outside of senior care, and just looking at those business opportunities. You've got folks watching this that are entrepreneurial and are looking at things that aren't run as efficiently as they should be. Find a way to make it happen because everybody, you see technology and you see everything getting more and more and more efficient. I promise you there are so many opportunities out there to get more efficient, to use technology to do things that it may seem like it's obvious, but it's just not happening yet. Find a way to actually make it happen because there are a lot of inefficiencies and a lot of ways of doing things better they're just waiting for you. So I've seen that multiple different times in my career, and certainly within senior care. I think we've found that nugget as well here, and we've got a long way to go. So that's it.
I love that. Yeah, I've been an entrepreneur. I've owned my business for 17 years, and that's all we continue to do is see the pain points, understand the problem, and then create the solution because the solutions are right there in front of us if we just take time to look. Yeah. I will put your contact information for people to reach out to you via LinkedIn. If they are interested in learning more about the opportunity, just head to the website, Senior Care Authority.
Yeah,
is it?
SeniorCareAuthority.com. That would be great. Yep.
Amazing. To find out more information, and we'll, of course, drop that below as well. But Mark, thank you so much. And thank you for what you're doing. I know it's literally changing lives. So it's incredible. It's inspiring. And it's also very admirable of your success and doing what you do. So thank you very much for being a part.
And certainly reach out on the personal front. If we can help your family, we'd be happy to do that as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great.
Every leader has a story, and every story reveals another piece of the bigger picture. What if the missing piece wasn't something you had to find, but something you were meant to become? Subscribe, share, and keep leading with intention. I'm April Reed, and I'll see you in the next conversation on The Missing Piece.